Right now at 6, an update from the family of the 8-year-old Carl Junction native who died on a plane last week.
And it's going to be another hot one. Temperatures already warm out there this morning. It'll also be a bit breezy. It'll help a little bit. We'll have a look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus, a series of charity softball games aims to help make needed repairs to fields in Baxter Springs.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6 a.m. I'm Elise Snowy.
And I'm Chris Warner. So it's going to be another hot one. It was already hot enough this weekend.
It really was.
It was pretty nasty. I mean, here's the deal. I prefer the heat over the cold.
As do I.
I know some folks disagree. I've seen those posts. You know,
Yeah.
29 is better than 99. And I get that. There's some people who prefer the cold. You and I, we like it warm.
Right.
This is a little too hot, but I'd rather it be hot than freezing because I can cool down faster than I can heat up.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Right there with you.
So unfortunately, though, if you're not a fan of the heat, and of course the heat can be dangerous in its own way, so
Absolutely.
can the cold.
Yes.
For all you cold fans, it can be dangerous too. But unfortunately, we have been dealing with dangerous heat since last week, really, when temperatures really took off, and that's going to be the case again today. Let's start with the look outside from our camera on top of the Cornell Complex in downtown Joplin. The sun is rising, which is good. If it didn't, we would have concerns other than the heat. But otherwise, clear skies, and the wind's going to be a bit gusty out of the south, upwards of 25 miles an hour. And they're going to stay breezy over the next few days. Now, that's not going to be a cool breeze, but at least it'll be a breeze. MoDOT camera, 32nd in range line. Again, clear skies out there, clear roadways as they're dry because it hasn't rained for a little while. And as we look at the future track, rain chances today, honestly, less than 5%. We're going to have mostly clear skies, but as you can see, a stray shower or two is possible, but not very likely. We're otherwise mostly clear, hot, and dry as we head through the afternoon into the evening hours. Temperatures this morning already warm. I was telling folks we had a rummage sale Saturday. Got out the door at 5:30 in the morning to start setting up. As soon as I opened the door, I just knew. I was like, it's already hot. So it's 5:30 in the morning. It was already hot out there. So it's going to stay that way for a little bit. We've got some low 70s out in the southeastern part of our area, but as you head further north and west, we're looking at more mid to upper 70s. Our highs today, upper 80s, low 90s out there. So even though that air temperature is just that much better than where we've seen it here lately, heat index values still mid upper 90s, and some folks, especially in southeast Kansas, could reach the low 100s again today. And again, other than a stray cloud or two, it's going to just be sunny and hot and breezy. Again, warm breeze, but at least it's a breeze. We will have at least a momentary break from the heat later this week. We'll go over the details on that in the full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right. Thanks, Chris. We have an update from the family of Sydney Weston, the 8-year-old Carl Junction native who died on a plane last week. The family has released a picture of Sydney and a statement. A GoFundMe has also been established to benefit the Weston family. The statement saying, "Our hearts are shattered by the devastating loss of our precious daughter. We request privacy and respect as we cope with this profound grief. We found the words to honor Sydney the best we could right now." Well, early Friday evening, a crash on 26th and Country Club Drive across from Twin Hills claims the life of a driver. Joplin police say the crash occurred as the vehicle went off the road at a high rate of speed and struck a large tree, coming to a stop. Despite life-saving efforts from bystanders and first responders, 41-year-old Sergio Marroquin died later at a Joplin hospital. Marroquin was a co-founder of the now closed El Taco Loco on West 7th in Joplin. Well, just after 10:45 p.m. Saturday night, reports of a motorcycle and car collision at 11th and South Range Line alerted Joplin 911. Joplin Fire, Joplin Police, and Met's ambulance were dispatched. On scene, the southbound custom motorcycle had struck a passenger car that pulled into the path of the bike. Joplin police say that everyone involved refused medical care. Southbound traffic was diverted for about 60 minutes. Just before 1 p.m. Sunday, reports of a structure fire at former XXX Midnight Video. The 3100 block of South Prosperity Avenue alerted 911. Joplin and Dunaway Fire responded. Joplin Fire Station 7 is within sight of the building and reported smoke visible. Firefighters ran lines and made entry, finding no one inside or outside the vacant building. Fire was under control quickly, and Jasper County deputies arrived to begin an investigation of the suspicious fire. About 4:15 p.m., reports of a cattle hauler overturned on K166 curve west of Baxter Springs, Kansas, that alerted Cherokee County 911. Baxter Springs Police, Cherokee County deputies, Baxter Springs Fire, and A&B responded. On scene, westbound K66 tractor trailer overturned to the right off the roadway. One lane westbound was closed and the driver was not injured. Baxter Springs Fire responded with their brush truck, cooling the cows down as the trailer was being cut open. And to be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. Well, people in Baxter Springs are hitting the ball fields to play for a good cause. KOAM Samantha Walker has more on how each swing of a bat is helping keep the community fields open.
As the hot sun beats down on the 19th Street ball fields in Baxter Springs, players of all ages step up to bat, ready to support a good cause.
We have local teams, local kids teams that practice out here, and without that they wouldn't have anywhere else to practice. It's just good to keep them going. It's good for the community.
Field manager Michael Schutz is organizing a series of charity softball games, raising money to help upgrade and maintain the fields. One goal they have is to replace the lighting, which they say will allow the fields to better serve the community.
We're hoping to reach $1,500. That'll replace all the fuses on the lights and get them going so we can tell what we need to do from there to get them working.
Chase Price is one of the players to take to the field in support of the fundraiser. He says these fields are special to him because it's where he first got his start in softball.
We need lights to stay on. We need the fields to be worked. So we come together here and kind of do it together. Mike runs the show, but we all kind of come together and just help out. So the more we have coming out here to help, the better it is.
For those who are taking the field in these softball games, they say win or lose, they know they're helping a good cause.
Seeing the community out here, it means a lot. You got a lot of things that the community don't come out for, so seeing them come out for this, it's awesome.
Reporting in Baxter Springs, Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
Organizers are planning to hold another charity softball tournament in July. All proceeds will continue to go to field upgrades. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes, coming up on the KOAM Morning News. Toyota is recalling some 13,000 2023 Crown vehicles because of a camera defect. Plus, a gunman opens fire at a splash park over the weekend before taking his own life. And Chris Warner returns with another look at your Monday forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. Topping Nation Watch this morning, Toyota is recalling some 13,000 2023 Crown vehicles because of a camera defect. The automaker says the front and rear view camera cases can allow water to get inside, causing the cameras to malfunction. The concern is that the rear view camera obstruction could increase the risk of drivers striking pedestrians. Toyota says it will contact owners of the affected vehicles by mid-August. The company said dealers will repair the affected cameras or replace them if necessary for free. The company said anyone can check recall information on the Toyota website or the National Highway Traffic and Safety website. Boeing Starliner will stay longer at the International Space Station than planned. NASA said Friday the spacecraft would undergo more testing at the ISS. Per NASA, these tests include checking the capsule's hatch, thrusters, and cabin air temperature. Starliner's first ever crew mission launched on June 5th after several delays, with NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams on board. The Boeing mission was to spend about 9 days at the ISS, and now, according to NASA, Wilmore and Williams will remain at the space station until at least June 22nd. The FAA is investigating after a Southwest Airlines flight plunged toward the ocean near Hawaii. The April 11th incident came to light on Friday after Bloomberg reported Southwest sent a memo to pilots about the incident. Flight tracking data shows the Boeing 737 MAX 8 dropped at a rate of more than 4,000 feet a minute. At one point, it flew as low as 400 feet before rapidly climbing. According to Bloomberg, the memo indicated a newer first officer was flying at the time and inadvertently pushed forward on the control column. The flight was heading from Honolulu to the neighboring island of Kauai at the time, but the memo said the pilots decided to abort the landing there due to bad weather. Flight tracking data shows the plane returned to Honolulu. This morning, questions remain after a gunman opened fire on a Rochester Hills, Michigan splash park over the weekend before taking his own life. At least 9 people, including 2 children, were wounded in the shooting. It's one of several mass shootings in the U.S. since Friday night. CBS News' Naomi Ruckham has more from New York.
Watch over our city.
Prayers and songs at a vigil in Rochester Hills, Michigan, after 42-year-old Michael Nash fired around 28 rounds at families cooling off at a splash pad park.
I know these people. This is my neighborhood. These are friends. These are family members. This is horrible.
At least 9 people were wounded, including a husband and wife who were struck 7 times. Friends say they were injured while shielding their young children. The shooting also left a woman and her 2 children in critical condition.
Everything we know about this event is that it was incredibly random.
Police say after the shooting, the suspect walked calmly back to his car and drove to his home less than a mile away. After a brief standoff with police, authorities say he killed himself. A semi-automatic weapon and a handgun were later found inside the home.
Any of us could have, been hurt or shot. We don't know what his plans were.
Michelle Wheeler is one of the suspect's neighbors.
I saw him here and there. I tried to wave. He never really spoke or anything like that.
Investigators are now trying to determine why the suspect opened fire, though police say he struggled with mental health challenges. The tragic shooting in the Detroit suburb was one of several over the weekend. Police in Round Rock, Texas, are looking for a gunman who killed 2 people and wounded 14 others at a Juneteenth festival Saturday night. In Methuen, Massachusetts, 8 people were injured after an early Sunday morning shooting. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
The mayor of Rochester Hills has vowed to reopen the Splash Pad Park, telling CBS News that his city will live in hope, not fear. And that's a look at some of today's top national stories. Here's Chris with a look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've got ourselves a nice hot day out there. Clear start. Skywatch Storm Tracker is clear. Only rain well out to our west and even some severe weather up to our north. Beautiful view of the sunrise from 7th and Range Line. And again, it's going to be a hot one today. Highs upper 80s and low 90s with mostly clear skies. We'll have another full look at your forecast here in just a few more minutes on the KOAM Morning News.
Good morning, I'm Elise Snowy with your KOAM News Update. A structure fire was reported just before 1 p.m. yesterday at former XXX Midnight Video in the 3100 block of South of Prosperity Avenue. Joplin and Denawake fire teams responded to the 911 call. Firefighters ran lines and made entry, finding no one inside or outside the vacant building. Jasper County deputies arrived to begin an investigation of the fire. Well, Joplin first responders were called to a report of a motorcycle and car collision at 11th and Range Line Saturday night. It was discovered that a custom motorcycle had struck a car that had pulled into its path. Joplin police say that everyone involved refused medical care and southbound traffic was diverted for about 60 minutes.
It's going to be another hot one today. Temperatures upper 80s, low 90s, mostly clear skies, and a less than 5% chance of a shower. But it will be breezy, a warm breeze, but windy nonetheless. South winds gusting upwards of 25 to 30 through today, tonight, and at least into tomorrow. Clear skies through the evening, mostly clear overnight, back into the low 70s. We've slightly better chances for some isolated thunderstorms tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. A little cooler on Wednesday, a break from the heat, and then it'll return as we head into the upcoming weekend.
Being a first responder can be a stressful but rewarding job. Oftentimes, the people they work with can become family. But as Victoria Saha shows us at one Las Vegas fire department, there is a family that ended up being co-workers.
Hey, look who it is. Trenton Tyler just got off a call. His senior firefighter Mike Tyler at North Las Vegas was waiting on him so the guys can all have breakfast together.
We got a bunch of hungry guys over here. Make sure that coffee's fresh.
Are you kind of like everyone's dad around here?
My nickname is Papa, so I do feel that way.
A nickname that's pretty fitting. If you haven't noticed the resemblance yet, the Tylers are father and son.
I still have a dad hat on as far as I have a lot of expectations for him. I want him to do really well.
Trenton tells me growing up, he remembers being in awe of the fire station and his dad.
He used to come to my school on career day.
From sitting on his dad's lap in the fire engine to now being behind the wheel himself.
The very first day he worked, we got a fire, we pulled up, and then I looked behind me, and then there's engine 55, and there's this little kid getting out of the rig. It was a surreal moment.
It's his kid who he now shares a 48-hour shift with.
He thinks he's funny.
So who is funnier?
Oh, wow, that depends on who you ask.
Jokes aside, this job is not something they take for granted. The two responded to a fire recently that was intense.
I showed up on the rescue. I saw him going in. I saw a smoke-filled house with some fire, and next thing you know, he came out and brought a victim out.
He probably gets a little nervous seeing me going into places, but the people I'm with, he trusts them.
And now Mike gets to trust that his son will follow his example.
Be a little bit funnier, cook a little bit better.
Victoria Saha, Fox 5 News, local Las Vegas.
It's certainly great to see them teaming up to help save lives. Now here's Chris with a quick look at your forecast.
We've got ourselves a hot day across the area once again, and maybe an isolated shower. Better rain chances over the next few days. We'll take a look at that forecast when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6:22, about to be 6:23 on this Monday morning. We're starting with this, a live look from our camera downtown Joplin on the Cornell Complex. A bit breezy out there. It's going to be a warm breeze, so it won't offer a lot of relief, but it's better than no breeze at all. And one of those south winds gusting upwards of 25, maybe 30 miles an hour in some cases. MoDOT camera 32nd in range line, also showing us clear skies out there, and obviously clear skies from MoDOT camera, US 60, Missouri 59 down in Neosho. So we got ample sunshine coming through. As we look at the future track, rain chances today, honestly, less than 5%. It is trying to show maybe a pop-up shower or two, but I think we're really just going to stay dry. We're going to stay hot, and we'll have a few passing clouds here and there. Tomorrow, though, it'll be a slightly different story, and we're going to start dry and mostly clear. Then we'll see a few extra clouds, and then we'll have slightly better chances of a couple of showers, maybe a thunderstorm or two. The better chances for at least some kind of meaningful rain is going to be east of I-49 by tomorrow evening. It'll be brief, but it'll be there. Wednesday gets slightly better. We'll see a few more clouds, a few more opportunities for some isolated to widely scattered showers and storms as we head later into the afternoon and early evening hours. Not anticipating any severe weather with any of this, but nonetheless, between the clouds and a little bit of rain, it does keep us a little cooler, and it'll give us an opportunity to get at least a momentary pause from the extreme heat. UV index today is 10. That's very high. Burn time is 10 minutes or less for unprotected skin. So again, make sure you're taking the appropriate precautions out there, and you need to stay hydrated as well. This is our heat risk for today, moderate to major. So we're talking heat index values, upper 90s, and maybe in that 100 to 105 range across parts of southeast Kansas. Then as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday, take a look. We go into minor. So we're talking at least, again, a momentary pause heading even into Thursday in those high heat index values. But as we head back into the weekend, you can see moderate to major heat impacts return once again. So again, some very quick tips on what you need to be doing out there. First, your pets, make sure you're taking them on early morning walks and that they're otherwise inside. Keep your kids hydrated. Water, Pedialyte Pops, a great idea. If you've got to be outside working, find shade, take breaks, and of course, stay hydrated, drink plenty of water. And elderly, children, two most vulnerable populations in extreme heat. Make sure you're checking in on them as well. 75 in Joplin, south-southeast breeze at 8. Otherwise, clear skies. Temperatures off to the southeast, a little cooler this morning, low 70s. Everyone else right around the mid to upper 70s. We're going to be into the mid 80s by 11 o'clock this morning, ahead of highs once again, upper 80s, low 90s. Get that pause in the heat Wednesday, upper 80s for the highs. Slight thunderstorm chances tomorrow through Thursday. As we head into the weekend, though, the heat returns, and as we showed you on the heat risk map, so do some of those dangerous heat index values. That's a check of your forecast. Now here's Elise with Health Watch.
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, access to cervical cancer screenings needs to improve, especially in rural areas. That's according to a study published in JAMA Network Open, which finds testing rates across the country fell between 2019 and 2022. Researchers are concerned this could lead more women being diagnosed with advanced stages of cervical cancer. The national poll finds 20% of parents are giving their child melatonin to help them fall asleep, and a third stay in the room until their child dozes off. University of Michigan researchers say these tactics may work now, but could increase sleep challenges in the long term. The chances of a migraine increases with the temperature. A study from the University of Cincinnati finds that for every 10 degrees hotter it gets, there is a 6% increase of any headache. However, researchers found that the treatment Fremanezumab offsets the heat association. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. We'll be right back. Right now at 6:30, residents in Pineville stay up all night to raise money for the American Cancer Society.
And it's going to be another sunny and hot day out there, maybe a shower. Otherwise breezy as well. We'll take a look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus, residents in Joplin celebrate Juneteenth a little bit early. We'll take a look at all the festivities.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:29. I'm Elise Noe.
And I'm Chris Warner. It is Monday here in the 4 states. It is the 17th of June. Now past the halfway mark of this month, which is the halfway mark of this year.
It's crazy. It's just the way that this year has just snuck up on me.
2024 is really flying by. And it feels like, though, once we get into the hot months, though, it slows down. It does that, too, in the winter time, it seems.
Right.
When the weather's nice, the days really fly by. But when it's either too hot or too cold, all of a sudden, things just slow down, it seems. And it's going to be another hot one today. Let's start with a live look from MoDOT camera at 32nd and Range Line in Joplin. As you can see, the skies are clear. There is sunshine. It is also a bit breezy. We're going to have south winds gusting upwards of 30. We do have a less than 5% chance of rain. Future track heading into the afternoon showing a couple of stray showers possible. So that's why it's really honestly less than about 5% or so as we head through the afternoon and evening. We're otherwise hot, dry, mostly clear and breezy out there. Temperatures this morning, again, off to the southeast, a little cooler. Monette, Cassville into the low 70s. And you head a little further north and west, temperatures a little warmer, mid and even still some upper 70s. Our highs today are just a wee bit better than what we've seen lately as we go upper 80s and low 90s across the area. We'll have mostly clear skies, so a few passing clouds. And like I said, the breeze, it's not going to be a cool breeze, unfortunately, but at least it's a breeze. South winds gusting upwards of 25, possibly 30 miles an hour. And our heat index values today, most of us looking to be mid-upper 90s, but some of us, especially across southeast Kansas, could reach the low 100s once again. So make sure you're taking precautions. We do get a little relief from the heat eventually, and it will be very little, but at least it's there. We'll have the details on that and some other rain chances in the full forecast a little later. Elise?
All right, we'll see you soon, Chris. Christine's Vineyard hosted a Father's Day free fishing event yesterday. The event allowed area families to bond over fishing, and the event also included cornhole and a foam axe throwing set.
Just get outside. Nowadays I feel like a lot of people are, inside. I know it's hot, but it seems like when you get outside, you kind of forget about the weather and end up having a pretty good time. And out here, they got drinks and a pond and everything else, so it's kind of the best of everything out here.
Families were able to fish yesterday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Many times people find themselves pulling an all-nighter, but Pineville residents pulled an all-nighter to take the fight to cancer with a relay for life. The overnight event included a silent auction, live music, raffles, and much more. All funds from the event went to the American Cancer Society. Organizers say those funds will then be allocated to those in need.
It pays for housing, so if your child needs to go and have radiation and you are 3 or 4 hours away from the facility, it pays for your housing to stay at there, and it also pays for the gasoline. So they have a shuttle that takes you from the hospital back to your facility or your house for the time being, back to the hospital and back and forth for the extended time of your treatment.
This is the first Relay for Life event held in Pineville in 20 years. One day after hosting their ranch rodeo event, the Lamar Saddle Club is putting on a play day for local cowboys and cowgirls. The play day is a way for people and their horses to bond and practice for competition. Events to practice include barrel racing, poles, flags, and more.
Fun watching the kids participate and how they learn. We're starting them out slow and they do it at their own speed. Just have a good time. Main thing is have a good time.
The event was $2 per event per person. Well, June 19th marks the Juneteenth holiday, but Joplin residents decided to celebrate a little earlier. The celebration Saturday included a 5K run, art classes, live bands, and a kids zone, and much more. The event took place at the future site of Hope Park.
I want the community to know that the whole gist of this is for Hope Park. And Hope Park is the location that we are in now, and that is the future of we're having fundraisers and stuff to get that going. So all that we're doing, all the funds we collect, everything is going towards getting that park up and running.
Juneteenth marks the freeing of the last slaves in the United States. Well, some Southwest Missouri area organizations all gathered at Wildcat Park Saturday to teach kids and parents about water safety. Kids were able to learn a variety of things such as boat safety and some safety around the water. Every child received a free life jacket at the event.
That water safety is important at all ages, and so the earlier that we start water safety, the better that people will understand it as they get older. So it's just a great thing for kids to learn.
Over 50 area kids were in attendance. Well, partly cloudy skies weren't the only thing you were able to see over Pittsburgh Saturday. The second annual Kite Festival was held on Saturday. Not only could community members go and see some of the bigger kites, but it also allowed for cultural exchange.
This is our Indian culture. Like we used to welcome the spring with the Kite Festival. So I want to share the culture with the American people because we have lots of Indian also. So we are celebrating together and make a one community.
Every attendee was provided with a free kite. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Well, today is an important federal tax deadline for Americans who are self-employed or business owners. And we have a hot and partly cloudy day today. We'll have what to expect with Chris Warner in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. In Consumer Watch this morning, The stock market recently hit a record high and corporate profits are rising again, and a report shows inflation is easing. So why do many Americans say they're not feeling it? Mark Strassman explains.
Sure, inflation's cooling, but it still makes millions of Americans hot.
Everything is so much higher than it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Compared to 1 year ago, consumer prices were up 3.3% last month. Still too high for the Federal Reserve and its 2% goal. The Fed left its benchmark interest rate intact last week. The Fed says one interest rate cut is likely by the end of the year, although the timing is unclear. That means borrowers may get little relief before November's presidential elections. Voters are feeling frustrations inflated with the economy.
I'm making more money now, but I'm more broke now than I was in 2020.
In our latest CBS News poll, 72% of Americans say higher prices have been a hardship or difficult. 63% rate the economy as fairly bad or very bad.
Eggs, milk, bread, everything's really high, so that is a big ticket issue.
She's right. Food prices, up 1% over the last year, have surged about 20% since 2021. Wages are up, outpacing inflation, and wealthier families feeling flush keep spending. But the less you make, the more you feel it.
I just noticed the increase in price on everything.
Fed Chairman Powell hears the complaints.
Inflation has come down really significantly, and we're doing everything we can. We're confident that we'll get there.
Not soon enough for everyone with inflation fatigue. Mark Strassman, CBS News, Atlanta.
Well, today is an important federal tax deadline for Americans who are self-employed, business owners, freelancers, or gig workers. People whose taxes are not withheld by their employers in their paychecks and whose tax liability is expected to reach more than $1,000 are required to pay quarterly taxes to the IRS. Failure to pay on time could result in penalties. The number of Americans who send quarterly tax payments is rising, and the IRS says 14 million taxpayers sent in payments last year compared to just over 12 million the year before. Was a big summer box office win for Disney and Pixar with Inside Out 2 taking in a huge $155 million domestically. Bad Boys Ride or Die slid to second, bringing in $33 million. And Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is still going strong after more than a month in theaters, earning just over $5 million to take third. According to some movie experts, there are likely to be fewer summer blockbusters released this year as a result of last year's 5-month-long writer strike. And fans of Hooters wings can now enjoy them from the comfort of their own home. The company has launched a line of 4 different frozen wing entrees, both bone-in and boneless, sold at public supermarket locations nationwide. And that's it for Consumer Watch. Here's Chris with another look at your forecast.
And we're starting with a live look from outside from our camera on the Cornell Complex, downtown Joplin. It is sunny, it is warm, and it is breezy. It will be a warm breeze, but as we've mentioned, at least some wind is better than no wind. MoDOT camera 32nd range line also showing those sunny skies. Future track, our rain chances today are less than 5%, but there may be a stray shower or two as we head later into the afternoon and early evening hours. We're otherwise hot and mostly clear. Heat index values today, upper 90s, maybe even some low 100s, especially out in parts of southeastern Kansas. As we look at temperatures, again, the cool spots have been off to the south and east. We've got some low 70s with Cassville as the cool spot at 70. The rest of us, or at least most of us, in the mid to upper 70s as we get this day underway. Well, those south winds gusting 25, maybe 30 miles an hour at times. A couple of stray clouds here and there, otherwise sunny skies and hot, upper 80s and low 90s across the area. But we will eventually get some relief from the heat. It will be very short-lived, but it'll be at least a pause. We'll take a look at details on that and some additional rain chances here in just a moment. We're also about ready to celebrate birthdays and anniversaries. Of course, those are coming up after this break. But first, let's see what's happening on CBS Mornings.
I'm Nate Burleson. Coming up on CBS Mornings, David Begnaud introduces a new segment, another one. You know, he always finds the heart in every story. He will surprise a young man with a day that made his dream come true. David Begnaud always does it well. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
Time for some Monday birthdays here in the 4 states, and we are going to start in Oswego with Xanthfire Baldwin celebrating birthday number 12. Says happy birthday from the whole family. We love you.
And a happy birthday to Courtney Robinson celebrating birthday number 35. It says happy birthday from Cage, Timber, and Michael.
And in Grove, Debbie Ferguson celebrating birthday number 63. It says happy birthday from all of your friends.
And over in Jasper, a happy birthday to Adele Flanagan celebrating birthday number 84.
And a big one over in Neodesha, Florence Kammerer celebrating birthday number 99. A very happy birthday to you, Florence.
Also celebrating a birthday is Kathy Hill. It says happy birthday to the best grandma in the world. Love, Ray, Kylan, Robbie, Carson, and Avery.
And in McCune, Roe Parsons III celebrating another year wiser. A very happy birthday to you, Roe.
And Jim and Mary Bob Godinez are celebrating their 2nd anniversary. Happy anniversary.
And our list continues with Charlie Shearhart in Mound Valley celebrating 65 years young. Happy birthday, Charlie.
And a happy 40th birthday to Cheryl Cochran.
And Danita Powell celebrating birthday number 79.
And over in Pittsburgh, Glenda Morgan is celebrating another birthday. Happy birthday, Glenda.
And last but certainly not least, Lori Freeman in Columbus celebrating birthday number 62. All right, another fantastic list of birthdays and anniversaries, and it just so happens we love celebrating both, and Elise knows where you can send those to.
Yes, go ahead and submit your birthdays and anniversaries to birthdays@KOAMnewsnow.com, and to be sure to, of course, meet the deadline that you see there at the bottom of your screen.
Absolutely, and as we've mentioned, that just ensures that your birthday or anniversary airs on the right date. All right, let's start with the look outside, shall we? This is our camera on top of the Cornell Complex downtown Joplin. Clear skies, the sun is shining. It is a bit breezy. It's a warm breeze, but it's better than no breeze, and it is already relatively warm for many of us out there. MoDOT camera 32nd in range line in Joplin, also showing ample sunshine across the area, and MoDOT camera down in Neosho, US 60, Missouri 59. It's one of those ones that's getting to take a selfie because the sun is shining right into it, but also good evidence that the skies are clear. Now for today, our rain chances, as I've mentioned, less than 5% in all honesty, but the future track is showing, at least heading to the afternoon and early evening, a stray shower or two. Possible. Not very likely, but at least possible. We are otherwise mostly clear and hot with our highs into the upper 80s and low 90s. Heat index values upper 90s, maybe even lower 100s for some of us, especially in southeast Kansas. As we head to tomorrow, though, will be a little cloudier, partly cloudy skies, and tomorrow, slightly better chances of a couple of stray showers or thunderstorms, especially east of I-49 in the evening. They may be brief, but this is the best opportunity for some organized shower and thunderstorm activity. Otherwise, again, most of us dry for our Tuesday and still hot. Now, some good news is by Wednesday, we have even better chances of a few more isolated to widely scattered showers and storms as we head into the afternoon and evening. Now, the initial part of the day is partly cloudy, pretty warm, but we're also going to be just a smidgen cooler than where we have been. And as you can see, by about 4:30, 5 o'clock, we see that opportunity for a few additional scattered showers and thunderstorms, but those two are going to be relatively short-lived and not do much for us, but it's better than nothing at this point. Our UV index today is a 10. That is very high. Burn time's about 10 minutes for unprotected skin, so do make sure you're taking precautions, you're limiting your time outdoors. Heat risk potential for today is moderate to major. This is what I was talking about in this zone. That's where those heat index values could be 100 to 105. Outside of that, upper 90s to say the least. So want to make sure you're taking precautions, staying hydrated. Now, as we head into our better rain chances by Tuesday and Wednesday, our heat index potential, our heat risk potential begins to drop by Wednesday. Why isn't this going? I apologize. How many times? There we go. By Wednesday, it goes into that minor to moderate with a lot more minor out there. So we see some improvements, at least briefly, and that could carry over into Thursday for a lot of us. But then as we close out the week and head into the weekend, that moderate to major heat risk does return across the area. So again, some quick reminders on things you can do to keep yourself, your family, your pets, everyone safe in the heat. Remember, with your pets, make sure you're doing early morning walks. Right now is the best time to do that. Make sure they are indoors otherwise. Keep your kids hydrated. Water, Pedialyte Pops, excellent examples of things you can do. If you have to work outside like this gentleman here, I know there's a lot of folks, you don't have that choice. You've got to work outdoors. Make sure you're finding shade, taking breaks, and staying hydrated yourself. And then, of course, the elderly, like the children, are quite susceptible to this kind of heat, so make sure you're checking in on them as well. Make sure they're doing all right. Quick look outside from our camera. 7th and Rangeline. Skies again are clear. 75 in Joplin, but that dew point and humidity are up there. That's why we've got the dangerous heat index values again today. South-southeast breeze at 8, but again, we'll see those winds gusting upwards of 25, maybe even 30 miles an hour. Still a little cooler for some of us. 70 is a cool spot in Cassville. We got some low 70s in parts of southeastern Kansas. The rest of us, though, mid-70s and still some upper 70s out there. As we get our morning started, sunny skies, breezy, hot by late morning, so we go mid-80s by 11 o'clock. It's going to be again hot today. We'll take a look at your extended forecast and talk about when the heat will return after that brief pause here in just a moment. And we'll have the news you need to know also, very important. And when we make the switch over to KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 at 7 a.m., we're going to see why farmers are now being encouraged to use drone technology.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. A structural fire was reported just before 1 p.m. Sunday at former XXX Midnight Video, a 3100 block of South Prosperity Avenue. Joplin and Denawake fire teams responded to the 911 call, and firefighters ran lines and made entry, finding no one inside or outside the vacant building. Jasper County deputies arrived to begin an investigation of the suspicious fire. Joplin first responders were called to a report of a motorcycle and car collision at 11th and Rangeline this Saturday night. It was discovered that a custom motorcycle had struck a car that had pulled into its path. Joplin police say that everyone involved refused medical care, and southbound traffic was diverted for about 60 minutes. The 8-year-old Sydney Weston passed away after becoming unresponsive during a flight from Joplin to Chicago. Preliminary autopsy findings are inconclusive after several studies, and there was no evidence of foul play or no signs of abuse or neglect. More tests are to come, but those could take up to 4 to 6 weeks. A GoFundMe has been created to help benefit the family. And that's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
For us today, upper 80s, low 90s, heat index values upper 90s into the low 100s. Mostly clear skies and breezy, south winds gusting upwards of 25 to 30. That'll continue today, tonight, and at least into tomorrow. Clear skies through the evening, still very warm by 10 o'clock. Mild overnights back into the low 70s. We have slightly better rain chances, maybe a couple of thunderstorms Tuesday through Thursday. No severe weather expected, and a lot of us unfortunately will remain dry, but it will help bring temperatures down a bit by Wednesday. A brief break from the heat and humidity, and then by the weekend temperatures heat up and heat index values follow suit.
Alrighty. Well, coming up today at noon, we're making half-sour dill pickles in the Mr. Food Test kitchen.
And your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings. More than 24 shows were up for Tony Awards last night. Coming up on CBS Mornings, a look at the plays, musicals, and actors who were the big winners for Broadway's biggest night.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. This morning, Sarah Runyon from the city of Pittsburgh joins us in the studio to talk about the Pittsburgh celebration of 620 Day.
Plus, Claude Hsu also joins us in the studio to talk about the Robbie Memorial Run. However, that's going to wrap it up for us for now. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
And we'll see you today at noon.